sometimes feel stressed out about getting all of the self-care items and routines done that you have laid out for yourself? Or have you recently been going through a life-changing event that has actually kept you from doing your favorite self-care item? Yes? No problem. In today's video, we're going to talk about why it is important to diversify your sources of joy and how you can get started. Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Arndt, and I'm a peak performance coach and stress management trainer. And I'm really grateful that you are tuning into today's video because we are going to talk about the importance of diversifying your sources of joy on a regular basis in order to keep it interesting, in order to keep you engaged, and in order to make sure that if something is happening in your life, if you have a life-changing event, that you still have other things to go to in order to manage your stress, all right? And the reason why I decided to do this video was a really simple one. I actually went on a 2-day camping trip last weekend for an elopement of my friend, and I talked to one of the guests about the work that I'm doing, and he is a nurse, and we talked about burnout and stress management. And he said to me that he recently learned that it is really, really important to diversify our self-care habits in order to make sure that we are not falling off the bandwagon. And that kept me thinking that I should absolutely do a video about this specific topic because it is really, really interesting. There are 2 specific reasons of why you should be diversifying your sources of joy. Reason number 1, either you went through a life-changing event recently which has kept you from doing the things that you love to do. For example, you had a physical injury and you're not able to run anymore, and running was a really important part of your daily self-care routine. That is one of the reasons why it is important to diversify, because if you're not running anymore and now you're just sitting at home and you're working all the time, then your stress levels will raise and eventually it's not healthy for you. Reason number 2 why it is important to diversify your sources of joy is that sometimes our most loved self-care habits become stressors. Sometimes we don't really feel like doing certain things anymore, and that's totally okay. But it is important that you are aware of it, and it is important that you have other different types of go-tos in order to, again, make sure that you are still practicing self-care on a regular basis. And if you want to learn more about self-care habits in order to maximize your workday, make sure that you're checking out the videos as well that I have on my YouTube channel. With the 2 examples that I just shared with you, I wanted to make sure to remind you why we are doing self-care practices in the first place. We want to relieve stress, of course. We want to make sure that you're recharging your batteries. And when you are done with your self-care practices, you should feel refreshed and absolutely amazing. If you don't, you should reconsider. And that is the reason why today we are talking about diversifying your sources of joy. And obviously, when we are talking about diversifying, it is important to think about a couple of different items that bring you joy and not to put too much pressure on yourself on a day-to-day basis, and have different go-tos based on the time that you have. And that brings me to the next question and the next topic that I want to chat with you today about in this video, which is, how do I diversify my sources of joy? And that is exactly the reason why I asked you to have a pen and a paper ready, because now I'm going to give you a little exercise that I want you to do during this video. I want you to write down 3 different categories and 3 different lists of things that you like to do in order to relax, in order to recharge, and in order to relieve stress. The first category that I want you to think about is quick stress management tools. And for each category that I'm going to share with you in this video today, I want you to think about 3 to 5 items that you like to do in order to relax, in order to recharge, in order to disconnect, and in order to obviously relieve stress. And for this first category, it is important that you're thinking about things that you can do in 10 to 15 minutes. This could be, for example, to go outside for a quick walk. It could be to journal for 10 minutes in order to just get all of the things out of your head that you have on your mind right now. It could be to do a breathing exercise, to stretch, to meditate. Anything, really anything that you like to do and that you can do in 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, great. Once you have written down these 3 to 5 items for category number 1, we can move into category number 2, which is helpful self-care habits. These habits are things that I'd like you to think about doing on a regular basis as well. And those are usually things that might take you 30 to 45 minutes or maybe even longer, like an hour or an hour and a half. And in this category, I count things like running, going to the gym, going swimming, so any physical activities. It could be knitting, it could be reading, it could be really, again, anything that you like to do that takes you usually 30 to 60 minutes to complete. And the final category that I want you to think about is a self-care day. So if you have one full day for yourself, what is it that you would really, really love to do? So dream a little bit. So again, write down 3 to 5 things that you would like to do if you had a self-care day for yourself. This could very obviously be a spa day. It could be to go on a full day hike. It could be to go on a one-day adventure. So it could be really anything as long as your eyes are starting to glow just thinking about it. Perfect. And now you might be wondering, well, okay, now that I have this list of things that I like to do in all of these different categories, how do I actually start integrating those items into my life? And this is really, really simple because the rule of thumb is the following. For category number 1, so for your quick stress management tools, you should do this daily. Daily, at least even 2 to 3 times, do something for 10 minutes that releases stress and that helps you to completely disconnect and recharge your batteries. For category number 2, so for the helpful self-care habits, those are things that I recommend you to do 2 to 3 times per week. And then finally, the last category of your beautiful self-care day that you have just been dreaming about. This is something that I recommend you to do once per month. Take care of yourself once per month and spoil yourself a little bit, because that's what life is there for. It's not just there for working all day long. It is about really enjoying yourself as well. And if you are thinking now, well, this is going to be really interesting, Julia, because I don't really have any time in my workday in order to even do just a quick stress management tool, then I highly recommend to you to go through my time management course that I have on my website. It is a free course, 5 days. You receive 5 different emails that will give you step-by-step instructions on how to better manage your time and manage your schedule. And I also have a video on time management on my YouTube channel. And I also have a video on setting boundaries on my YouTube channel. 2 really, really important topics if you want to free up a little bit of your time in order to take care of yourself. All right. Also, it's really, really important that you are setting clear goals and that you create new habits. And those are 2 things that you can find on my YouTube channel as well. So before I'm closing out this video today, here are just a few really important reminders. Reminder number 1, obviously diversify your sources of joy, especially if the things that you have initially been loving to do are starting to stress you out. Reminder number 2, what works for you now might not work for you 2 months down the line. And that's totally okay. It is important that reminder number 3, that you're not chasing perfection, but that you are really doing things that are important for you and that will really help you to release stress and feel good about yourself. So don't be too hard on yourself. Don't just think to yourself, because you set this goal a couple of weeks ago, you need to religiously now stick to it through the rest of your life. That is absolutely not necessary. Diversify and make sure that you have different things that you enjoy doing in order to take care of yourself. Because if something is coming up in your life, if you have a life-changing event, or if simply the joy of doing these things is going out of the window, then you have other things that you can focus on. So I hope you found this video helpful today. And if you have any topics or any questions that you would really like me to talk about, please leave me a comment down below. Give me, of course, a like as well and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would really appreciate that. And I see you in the next video. Take care, Julia.